Hi guys, it's Adam, and this time I'm coming to you from Egypt. I mentioned this already in my previous video that this might happen. So yeah, in the end I decided to pack up my camera, take it with, and shoot some footage here. I actually been wanting to talk about something for a while now, and I even had some footage of it already. I just didn't like any of it, so I decided to retake that and hopefully do better this time. And what I wanted to talk about was coming out. And this has obviously not been my first coming out. I've come out as gay or attracted to women 12 years ago. Having said that, this was in no way, shape or form easier than that, because this coming out was a completely different thing for me. I guess my previous coming out, what it allowed me to do was kind of to gauge people's, either their tolerance levels or their reactions a little bit, and to kind of know where I'm likely to, be able to expect more positive or less dramatic reactions than and where maybe there's some complications in store possibly. But even so, I found this process to be just as emotionally draining as the previous one. And I found one interesting thing. While I don't know if this is something like that happened in the recent years or if it's already been that way back then, but back then it makes me sound 100 years old. But no, really, there have been leaps and strides in terms of public discourse on LGBT topics, where mostly we're still focusing on the the B a little bit, so and then the T has kind of been neglected, I think, vastly in public discourse in recent years. But when you say to someone that you're gay or you're lesbian or you're attracted to this or that, people have the vocabulary or the sense to understand that. Whereas what I found in my personal case is that it's very difficult to come out as trans to people who don't have the vocabulary, because to them this is just a word, and it's also commonly misunderstood, it's misinterpreted. So in order to represent yourself correctly, you first need to give these people some words, some definitions to work with, so that they're better able to understand what it is that you're saying. And I really found that to be a challenge, because coming out to your queer friends and you're like, oh, I'm transgender, I'm female to male, I'm transitioning and that, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. And then you say those same words to someone who has not been exposed maybe to this subject as much, and they stare at you kind of blankly. They don't know what you're trying to say. I mean, they've heard the word before, usually with some sort of negative connotation. So I found myself explaining a lot, or even preparing. I mean, I prepared myself for my previous coming out, obviously, but it was more of a emotional preparation, being prepared for possible rejection. That was really what that was about. Whereas this time, I actually found myself preparing almost like a mini speech of how I would come out, to make sure that people understood what I'm saying correctly. And even then, I encounter situations where people are still like, wait, what are you saying? And this is interesting. I really think it points out how little discourse, how little information there is available in society today on the topic of transgender, and also it being such a wide or such a varied subject. Well, the information people get is a little bit here, a little bit there, and it's sometimes easy to kind of get it all mixed up and get a little confused. So this I found to be a much more organized way of coming out. Also, while I think coming out as previously my coming out as a lesbian mostly affected my private life. This time I felt it had a much stronger impact on my professional life as well. And let me explain. I have a job, and if I wanted to be like, it sounds so weird. I have a career, okay? I'm not in college. I'm not fresh out of college. Not to like diminish the experiences of anybody who is just fresh out of college, but mine was just a little different. I have been working since I was pretty much 15. I've been regularly employed like for the past 8 years. And I feel that I've kind of like established myself a little bit professionally as well. And this really is something, professionally you don't have to disclose to your like clients or business partners that you're gay. It's nobody's business but yours. But in this case, people having, knowing your name, knowing your face, knowing your contact information, usually your email includes your name or some variety thereof, you are forced in a position where you have to disclose this information to people who you have a very superficial relationship with. I mean, the other way would have been to just like pretend that, this person left the company and a new person joined the company, but then again, people know your face, so this is not, I don't think, a realistic perspective, and so it needs to be communicated internally. It needs to be then, a strategy needs to be or like a plan needs to be made on how we're going to communicate this externally. Additionally, so because I also, I'm one of the I'm one of the people who legally represent the company externally, so my name is on documents. And yeah, this was something that I didn't encounter before, gay or not gay, or lesbian or not lesbian. People who don't know anything about my private life now know this, or will know. I don't know, it hasn't really come up yet, other than my colleagues internally, but I'm still wondering what that's going to be like, to meet a business partner that knows your face, and then you're like, oh, but what happened to you? So yeah, that's going to be something new. But yeah, on the subject of my coming out, I did kind of it's impossible to come out in person to like everybody that you know. So I decided that I wanted to at least personally, face-to-face, come out to my immediate family. I wanted them to hear it from me, not some YouTube video, not my Facebook profile, not somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So I did this like tour, this face-to-face tour, and I met with them individually, mostly, and explained my situation, and most of them were very supportive. Also confused, they haven't really been exposed to this much, but no outright negative reactions. Some very, very positive reactions, some very supportive reactions, and I'm grateful for those. Some awkward moments, but overall it wasn't as stressful as I thought it would be. I honestly, I can't even say what I expected. I can't say that I expected worse. That sounds so terrible. I guess I was worried that people wouldn't understand. And ironically, a lot of people, not just my family, but generally when I came out, a lot of people said, yeah, that makes sense. They weren't even that surprised, even though they maybe are not very familiar with, the terminology or anything, but they're familiar with me, they know me, and this did not surprise them as much. Most of them were just like, yeah, this is like a logical next step, knowing me, so. I don't even know where I was going with this. Anyways, I just wanted to say, that coming out this time was much more public than it was private, also private, but also kind of public, and that it wasn't much easier just because it was not my first coming out. Everybody right now is kind of still struggling with the name, with the pronouns, which on some level is to be expected, I guess. I'm trying not to let that get me down. Mostly what upsets me more than when people who've known me like for a longer time, accidentally blabber something out is when strangers do it, because that just like reminds me, these people have a history with me. These people are used to calling me a certain name. They're used to using certain pronouns when it comes to me. So I guess it's more like it's muscle memory for them almost. Whereas strangers misgendering me or something means that I'm not passing, and that upsets me way more. So in other news, I am slowly starting to grow a little bit of facial hair. It's still very, very minute. You really have to look closely to see it, so I won't be showing you today. But there's definitely something going on there. I think it was Jamie Rains who like fairly recently did a video about like what it's like when you first start transitioning, and first start hormone replacement therapy, and how there's this like, how you're so anxious and like so excited and so impatient, and how I think he said that you're always asking like people, is my voice deeper, or is there hair on my face, or something like that, and everybody's just like, oh, just stop it. So yeah, I can really relate to that right now, because I'm like always looking in the mirror, like is there something here or not. I'm not a very patient person in general, so this is the waiting obviously is hard for me. So once the changes become a little more obvious, I can feel a little more at peace. Also, I think a big like a milestone for me, and I think for most trans guys who decide to do this, it's going to be top surgery. I can't wait to be rid of this and to not have to like constantly think like, are people looking at me weird? Are they assuming things about me? Are they, I obviously it's gonna be difficult for me to pass as long as there's this. So I'm really anxious to get that over with, and to just kind of feel like I can breathe a little easier and just not obsess about that so much. So yeah, that's it for now, I think. This was Egypt for you. Well, actually, this was our room in Egypt for you. It's really nice and sunny here, and as opposed to what I hear has been going on in Central Europe right now, so I'm not really looking forward to going back in a few days, but then again, what you can do. So yeah, I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of the day, and you people